Today we're talking about TCP/IP networking, SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. SMTP is used to send email and runs on the client's email server. The topics we're going to talk about are internal email servers as opposed to external email servers. Also the TCP/IP ports that are used, and firewalls that protect those ports, block them, monitor them, and then the SMTP servers themselves. Kind of what do those do, and how do they, relate to us? Because really, SMTP servers just send email, and it really runs as part of your email server. Okay, first let's talk about the internal email servers. The most common ones, the most common is Exchange. That's Microsoft's email server. And then you have Lotus Notes, which is IBM's, and GroupWise, which is Novell's, which is not too much of that's around anymore. If you have an internal email server that the IT people have control over, that's easier to connect. Oftentimes you only need a server name or IP address to put in our devices. Sometimes you'll need a username and password, but the majority of the time, if you have an internal email server to deal with, it's much easier to get our devices to scan the email with those. External servers, of course, that's something out on the internet. Gmail, Comcast, AT&T, really any email server on the internet. There's a bunch of them, Yahoo, all kinds of email servers out there. Some external email servers, you can't connect to them at all. So they're more difficult to connect to. Sometimes uses different ports and secure socket layer, SSL, which encrypts the email, which the Toshibas will do that. HPs right now will not do that. Lexmarks will do it, but it's a little bit get cross all your T's and dot all your I's on that to get the Lexmarks to work. But sometimes the external email servers don't even support SMTP, which means we can't use that email server for any of our devices. Sometimes firewall blocks needed ports for email, so it makes it a little tougher to get the email servers to work if they're external. And you almost always need a username and password. You could really probably put down always. You can't really get into an email server in the internet without a username and password. And oftentimes the users that use external email servers are kind of guessing at what those are, that they don't really know for certain what they are. Then the TCP/IP ports, talk a little bit about those. There's really 65,535 ports that run on the TCP/IP socket layers, and that's really the network interface card ports where there's inbound traffic and outbound traffic that goes through all those different ports. Some of the common ones are the SMTP uses port 25, so the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol will literally listen on the port 25 of your network interface card for any mail coming to that port, and then it'll know it needs to process it. I went ahead and wrote down here POP3 and IMAP is 110 and 143. Those are used to, the top one stands for a post office protocol, and the IMAP stands for Internet Messaging Application or Access Protocol, I believe it is. But those two protocols, that's how you receive mail. That's what's used. One or the other is used to receive your messages. I think our Exchange server here probably uses IMAP. A lot of other email servers out on the internet will use the POP protocol to receive messages. And then of course SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, is used to send messages out. Now normally SMTP and POP3 will be running on the same email server of course, the SMTP used to send stuff and POP used to hand the email messages out to individuals. Or you might have another email server that has SMTP running on it and IMAP running, using IMAP to do to actually for the clients to receive the messages on. So just put those in there to show you that those do use those specific ports, and to also kind of talk a little bit about how an email server really is POP and SMTP together normally, or IMAP and SMTP together running on the same server. The other ports I have here is HTTP. That's the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's web pages. It runs on port 80. So your network interface card uses port 80 to send that kind of information back and forth out of those 65,000 ports. And then HTTPS, that is again using the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, but it's secure socket layer, so that is encrypted. You might notice the HTTPS before in the address of your bank. Banks, if you do banking online, or if you actually do any buying of any products online, it'll use that S, and that means the connection is secure and it's been encrypted. So it'd be very difficult, if not impossible, for somebody to get that information that's being communicated back and forth between two computers with that HTTPS being utilized. DHCP, we talked a little bit about that last week, or not last week, but last video. That uses port 546. DNS, we talked about that. That uses port 53. And then secure socket layer email, which again is encrypted email, just like up here with the HTTPS. That would that actually was encrypted web pages. The secure socket layer email will work on 587 and 465. And so your email would be encrypted. So those are kind of the idea of the TCP/IP ports. I wanted to give you a little bit of background on those, because that's really how a network interface card communicates with any other network interface card. It uses those different ports, and those are some of the common communications. Next thing I want to talk about is the firewall. And firewalls literally, the firewalls is what monitors or restricts incoming and outgoing traffic on those TCP/IP ports. So if you have a firewall, and pretty much everybody has a firewall if they have a router that's bringing internet connection into their home, it will be blocking some of those incoming outgoing ports, especially ones that are known to be used by viruses and stuff to try to get in and cause problems with your computer. But they also sometimes will block certain specific ports for email, like port 25, and they'll set up a whole new secure socket layer scheme to send email back and forth on certain services. I know AT&T has their own email service. You cannot send SMTP traffic through port 25 on an AT&T connection. It won't allow it. You have to set it up, your email up, if you're using Outlook or something, just like AT&T specifies. So that's what the firewalls do, and I brought those up because sometimes those can cause you grief when you're trying to connect to especially an external Exchange server, or any email server really, any SMTP server out on the internet. Firewalls can be software based or hardware based. You can have a firewall here on every Windows machine has a firewall where it's going to block certain amounts of traffic on those ports. And then, like I said before, your router, wireless or not, either one, any kind of router is going to typically have a firewall embedded, and that's considered a hardware-based firewall embedded in it that again is going to control traffic on those ports. So that's kind of an idea of what firewalls do. Again, wanted to bring those up just so you know that firewalls sometimes can cause problems, and if you're out trying to help somebody with their email and you're having trouble, a firewall might be the culprit. And then our last slide here, talking about the SMTP server. Talked about this a little bit earlier, the SMTP server is really part of two parts of an email server, where the SMTP server sends the mail, the IMAP or the POP3 is what's responsible for us receiving mail. So those literally are combined to make up an email server. And I have here, this is the server running the client's email program. But our machines really only use the SMTP part. We really only are interested in sending mail through the client's email server. So it's also called the SMTP gateway. And you notice here it says we need to put the name or IP address of this server in the MFP so it can send mail. So our devices are dependent upon the client's email servers to function. So I hope that gives you a little bit of idea about SMTP and the email servers. I wanted to give a little bit of background on this before I delve into how to configure our devices. So my next video is going to be really opening up the web browser of a Toshiba. Probably I might, if I have enough time, I might open up the Toshiba and a HP and a Lexmark. Probably I'll do a video for each one of them. We'll just kind of see how long it takes me to go through them. But we'll literally open up the browsers of the machines and show you how to configure different email servers. Literally, sorry about that. Literally from the browser interface. So hopefully that gives a little bit of background, kind of preparing you for the next video of how to configure our machines to scan to email. So have a good day, and we'll see you next time.